G'day and welcome to the Investor Motivation Podcast. My name is Robert Gowdy and today we have...
I'm Rachael.
Good, this is Rachael Todman. Rachel's one of our advisors and partners here in the financial planning business. Welcome, Rach.
Thank you, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. What's been happening in your week?
Lots of new client activity, which has been amazing. We always love to see some fresh faces, and along with, normal review clients as well. So catching up with them is always fun.
Yeah, and each time we see a new client, there's just so many different scenarios and circumstances. So it's a little bit of it's a bit exciting to see a new client situation, and that always gets exciting in seeing how we help people.
Yeah.
What are we chatting about today?
So we're talking about holidays and how they can only take up so much time, I guess, of our retirement, and then a bit about social connection as well, and how we can spend our time during retirement.
Cool. So a bit of an overview of what retirement actually looks like and what's important for people, and I think there's a bit of a changing face there as to when people get to retirement, once they're there, I think it's not what it's really how they thought it would look like. There's risk of boredom, there's all sorts of things where I think what people think it looks like prior to retirement is often very different.
Absolutely, and there's plenty of research out there around this topic, and it sort of states that the first 12 months kind of feels a bit like a holiday, and then there's that bit of a lull afterwards thinking, okay, well, what do we do now? And so this discussion is really going to cover off on, and obviously the title is that retirement is probably more about coffee than it is big holidays, and we'll expand on that a little bit more. But before we do, I'll just do the acknowledgement of the land. So I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land who we record this podcast. So let's launch. I suppose my experience that I see with clients, Rach, is where they are obviously transitioning from often a job that they actually like and enjoy being there. And I know I'm at risk of this personally because I actually like my job. So they go from something they enjoy doing to stopping, stone cold. They are now retired and they become lost. Yeah, that's right, and it's the sense of purpose, the sense of community and social interaction that we get from our roles. There's a lot of banter and fun that we have here as well as the work. There's that loss of connection that can play a huge role in adjustment and purpose. So.
Yeah, and I think what everyone's thoughts around retirement is that it is big overseas trips. It's jet setting around all over the place, but in reality, these big trips are not only just expensive, but they are also sometimes stressful. Airports are not overly fun places to be, and things go wrong. And sometimes people say, just did a big trip to Europe, and it's good to come back and have a rest. So depending on the holidays, it's the big ones, and I'm not sure. And this is what I'm keen to break down. That it's the big overseas holidays are fantastic, but it might be 3, 4 or 5% at max of your year. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, so we're sort of exploring while the large holidays are great, that's only a certain amount of time. So what do you do for the rest of the time? Can you take shorter holidays more frequently, locally, or whatever it might be? Finding that balance between.
The more accessible stuff, and that's where I'm probably challenging my clients at the moment to, by all means, be overseas for months on end if you choose, but those smaller trips away, over a weekend or midweek, you don't want to go when everyone else is going, go midweek, do that, those 3-4 nights away, 2 hours down the road. Go and explore some of the stuff, closer to home that's more accessible, and it's not passports, it's not airports, it's
travel insurance, all those sorts of things that
that you can just have as much fun. But again, you can't be away from home all the time, and I think as humans, routine's really important. So encouraging clients to make sure that they go and have those Tuesdays when I catch up with the mates to have a cup of coffee, or for me it's actually Fridays, I catch up with Dean and we go and have lunch and we chat about our industry. He's a financial advisor as well. They're the sort of things that I would imagine in retirement
might step up a bit.
Absolutely. And again, loneliness is a huge part that comes into play with people during retirement. So those social connections are just so important to making sure that you've got support as well. So if something, if you lose a spouse or a loved one, you've got someone to lean on or interact with. And that sense of belonging, we all want to, need to be social to keep well.
So being out and about, and as I said, and whatever that looks like for each individual can be the beer at the pub.
Yeah.
And it's not about the cost of the beer or the cost of the coffee or the lunch. It's about the
feeling afterwards too. Being around positive people, certainly lifts us as well. So.
Yeah. So it's really, the conversation is about what does the rest of the 95, 6 or 7% of the year look like? So we can only have so many coffees, Rafe, before we get a little bit bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. What other things might retirees consider to make up part of the weekly routine?
I think it's touched on before, a sense of belonging I feel is really important. So things like joining community groups, even mentoring young people. Like there's lots of things out there that you can have an input into the community, as well as it being rewarding for yourself. So I think definitely having a bit of community involvement is an important one to help fill in the days. Again, give you that sense of purpose and that you're contributing to society as well.
Yeah. What about part-time work?
I think that's so important. Like we have this in Australia, we have this fixation on retirement, age 65 or whatever it may be. There's such a huge focus on that, whereas there doesn't have to be. You can work as long as you're capable of, for as long as you enjoy it. It doesn't have to be a certain time frame that you put on it if you love what you do. Yeah,
and that's probably the way that I've thought about, what retirement might look like for me. Not that I think too hard about it, because and that was the conversation Rach and I had at the start. Well, what's retirement look like for you? And I'll ask you that question in a moment. But for me, it definitely includes, all going well, that I've got my marbles, if I can work through to mid-70s under my own terms, I would love to do that, because I actually don't mind what I do. I spend my days, in talking to clients, reading about businesses and investing, and spending time with my business partners and work colleagues that I really, really enjoy. So I don't think it'd be healthy for me to give that away too early.
Yeah, I feel the same way. And when Rob asked me this question, I thought, oh, gosh, that's a really hard one. It kind of stunned me a bit, and I haven't given it much thought. Yes, it is a bit away, but I'll definitely have to be mindful of, having purpose, because, again, I love my job. I love what I do, and, it'd definitely be a transition for me as well.
Yeah, and I think, the way that I've thought about it in the past, I suppose one of my happy places that I go to regularly is Palm Cove. Done that for the last 25 years with the family. I've always thought working been up there for 2 or 3 months and doing a couple of hours work each day, working part-time would be a pretty cool thing to do.
Yeah.
And then I'd try to catch a GT off the pier. So that might be part of it. I think it's worthwhile to discuss getting the timing right of when to, I suppose, do the bigger stuff, when to spend more. I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that, as we age, our health will deteriorate, so I think it's really important that we're active, in our younger years, of course, and while we've got the, mental capacity to do it as well and the want, I think, we should go a lot harder in the early stages to make sure that, we're not missing out and having that regret down the track.
Yeah. Fantastic. I had a holiday, got back probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, did the Canada and Alaska tour, and I did that with my brother Richard and mum and dad, and so very fortunate to have that experience with my parents as they're getting older and as middle-aged guy, and it was interesting chatting to people on the tour group that you got to know, and that people suss out, what do you do, and when you say financial advisor, there's always conversations around investing and so on, which I always enjoy. But one comment from one of the participants was saying, when I retire, I'll spend a lot of time, I'll watch the share market.
and I thought, oh, that'll be interesting. What are you watching? You know, I didn't ask any questions, so that sounds great. But I'm thinking, what are you watching for? Now, I know what most people do when they say they're watching their investments or watch the share market as if they're going to have some impact or they're in control or responsible for. I understand that point about being responsible and taking on that ownership, but I feel as though people might just end up barracking for a valuation.
Yeah, that's right. Instead of focusing on what they can control, which is their day-to-day life. And while investing, of course, is important and it's nice to have an interest, we don't want that to be a sole focus for our clients at all.
I think where I've seen it, and I've spoken about this, most podcasts, that people that are just refreshing their portfolios on a daily basis, they end up just barracking for the share price or the portfolio value to be higher than where it was in the past. And I don't think that's a healthy thing to do, because it just seems to, you get a lovely little bit of a kick or feel good when it goes up a bit.
Yeah.
So, but that's a little bit. But when it goes down, the down feelings...
It hurts twice as much.
Twice as much, I think there's plenty of research done on that. So I think be interested and understand where things are at. Yeah, by all means, but don't get in that habit of hitting refresh all the time.
Becoming a bit of an obsession too, isn't it? Fixation.
Yeah, but I've got some clients that have been investing for decades and they understand it well, and that's not a problem. And it doesn't affect their mood, but I suppose at a time as markets go down, it starts to affect the mood, which will then affect your spouse's mood. I'm generally talking about the retired men, not the retired ladies. I think that's a time when you might need to rethink and rethink and how often you look at your portfolio.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep. Yeah. I think routine. As I've gotten older, I understand that being in routine is pretty important to me.
I've always been that way. Yeah.
Yep. I think we're pretty predictable creatures, and I think that's where again, being home, and as we get older, that want to be home and routine is more important. So that probably doubles down on the fact that knowing when to do the bigger trips, knowing when to spend more is important. But when you're home, getting that routine of beer with mates or coffee with other mates, and having these little social connections and or work is really important.
Great.
And one thing that I've struggled to do for some clients, and this is an older generation, is that going for a coffee down the street with mates, something that they've never done. I've changed some of these people that they now do, but they wouldn't do in the past because they didn't want to spend the money, because they can make that at home.
Yeah, I was going to say, different generation too. It was seen as wasteful almost if you were going out for coffee, where it's a part of Australians' life. So it's something that we value. So get out, be social.
Yeah. So very respectful of where those habits came from.
Yeah.
Where many years ago the money was just not there. So if it wasn't there, you couldn't spend it. So not being disrespectful of the past, but now when there's I'm talking about some people who have millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Make that choice, not just go and spend $4.50 on a coffee. And I make sure I remind them that when you get to 90, you will not care what you're worth.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's about the memories and all the fun stuff that you did. So Rach, probably another topic that is worth chatting about is, people get nervous, and I've seen this, people with lots of money get really nervous about spending money. Rob, should I go on that big holiday? Because they're at the start, they're in that first third where they're young enough and they're fit enough and wealthy enough to go and do some big trips. But there's still stress around, should I do it? There's that guilt around spending money that they've never been able to do in the past. What's the solution to that, Rach?
So we spend a lot of time with clients doing projections, so we can actually show the figures to provide that comfort rather than them just sort of guessing or surmising. I think it's knowing that they can do more.
Yeah.
Rather than there's so many assumptions that we can make ourselves and get in our own mindset to say, well, I can't afford that, when really you can, and you can do it finding that balance and doing it, respectfully with money, but also making sure you're having fun while you're younger. And we hate for our clients to get to us at the end going, why didn't you tell me I could spend more? So, I think that's really important part is, getting the projections done, talking to an advisor to show you what it could actually look like.
Yep. And what we do there is we will put in the amount of financial assets, current age now, and then we might say base living is 65 grand. We use 72 grand a lot because the AFCA standard for a comfortable living for a couple in the first half of retirement. So that might be the base living, and then we will put in, let's say there's going to be 30 grand big trips. So they're big trips overseas. We'll put them in as extra spending and then calculate it down and then use, from a return point of view, some quite conservative numbers.
Yeah, that's right. And it's never a set and forget with anything in life. So, it's consistently going back to the drawing board and as things change and showing what it looks like as your priorities in retirement change as well.
Fantastic. So, projections continue to provide our clients a lot of comfort to know that they're fine, and it gives them the confidence to, and I only did this a couple of weeks ago, gave the confidence for that, for that retiree guy who's, sold some farming land, so there's a lot of money there, and he's paid a $200 deposit that he was going to forfeit because he was concerned about the trip. He is now going to be cruising Japan very soon.
That's awesome.
And building memories, which is fantastic. And he's doing that with, I think, his whole family. So that's wife and some children as well. So that sort of stuff excites me. So, project.
Yeah, that's right.
Keep doing that. Fantastic. I think we've covered this off enough. It's not a huge topic, but I think it's an important one because we all want to get to a certain age. When we're too old to do something, we can look back at the memories and say that was good fun.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Fantastic. For those that are wanting to find out more information for us, obviously there is our YouTube channel. There is over 670 videos that we've done over the last 12 or 13 years. It's been a labour of love for a very long time. So go and check things out there. Rach, you are on TikTok and also Instagram.
Instagram, yep.
And Facebook.
Yep. So,
fantastic.
out there as well.
That's just under your name, is it?
It is, yeah.
Yep.
So,
fantastic. So obviously we're on Investor Motivation on YouTube. I'm on TikTok under Rob Gowdy. Please be careful of the impersonators that are out there. I will never message anyone directly on TikTok, but you can message me if you like and if you've got a question, and on Instagram there as well. So thank you very much for joining us, and if you've got any suggestions or topics you'd like covered, let us know. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.